Buy-to-let, thatched, commercial. We're your high street insurance brokers for all types of insurance. Avoid faceless internet firms.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
See Neil and the friendly team at High Street Selsey.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
Or call Selsey 606 552.
Hello and welcome. This is Selsey Internet Radio. I'm Emma Corley, and today in our programme we've got a variety of things for you to listen to. We have an interview with Chris Reed from the Royal Naval Association, a poem by Liz Dunlop, and we have some music today from a local group called The Essentials, and it's from their new album called If Music Be the Food of Love. We also have Giles talking about the autumn garden, and we have Lynn with her another tasty recipe leading up to Christmas. And at the end we'll have a thought for the day from the rector of St. Peter's. But firstly, let me start with some what's on in and around Selsey. Firstly, I've got for you Selsey WI. Their next meeting is on Wednesday the 14th of November, and it will be the meeting in which they elect their new president. The competition on the day is the Literary Cup competition, and ladies are invited to write a short story on the theme of fireworks. A warm welcome is extended to all ladies who would like to join. For more information, you can contact Shirley on Selsey 606 287 or Diane on 601 776. And now another group, U3A, the University of the Third Age, is a group of older people which get together and do different activities. Their new groups are starting after their summer break. Antiques and Collectibles now meet on the fourth Wednesday of the month, and they are starting a French conversationalist club, and that's about to start. So why not go along to their open meeting, which they hold on the fourth Friday of each month at the Selsey Centre, and that's at 2 p.m. You will find they are a very friendly group and you'll be most welcome. Now for something completely different. Monday mornings at 9:30 a.m, aqua exercise, and that's with Mel at the Oasis Leisure Pool. Age ranges from bright young things to people in their late 70s. So go along, have a swim, have a bit of fun, and all you need to do is turn up with your costume and a smile, and you'll be most welcome. Now for the younger members of our community, we have Sonic Stars Cheerleading Squad, and they meet on Mondays 7:30 to 9 p.m. at the Academy Selsey School Gym, and it costs £3 per week, and that's for kids aged 13 and over. They're currently working towards a competition in July 2014. No cheerleading experience is necessary. You will be taught everything you need to know. And you can contact Rachel via her email at rachel@razzledazzlecheerleading.com. Or you can just pop along on the evening and see what they do and have a chat. Now, a couple of youth clubs which operate in Selsey. Firstly, Snack Shack Youth Drop-In, which is every Monday and Tuesday evenings in term time only, and that's 6 till 9:30 p.m. at the Snack Shack warehouse in the High Street. The sessions are now run by the new paid youth worker in Selsey, Kylie Scott. And we have another youth club, The Zone, which is sponsored by Youth Dream, and they meet at the Selsey Cricket Club 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m, and that's on a Wednesday in term time only again, and that's for ages 10 to 14. There is an entry fee of £1 each, and there's a large range of activities they offer, from craft to film evenings and lots more, and that's run voluntarily by Emma and Jane. And while we're on the subject of volunteering, if you feel you would like to get involved and volunteer maybe a couple of hours a week helping run clubs for young people under the age of 16, then Youth Dream would like to hear from you. You can contact us through Facebook or drop your details into the Selsey Information Exchange. Now, Youth Dream's sister sponsor, Sports Dream, they run these clubs for young people. They have the Selsey Specials, football for SEN children, on Friday at 6 p.m. at the Academy. and they have girls football, and that's Tuesday 6 p.m. at the academy. And basketball is Mondays 5 p.m. Age 7 to 11 is 6 p.m. and 12 plus is after that at the Academy Sports Hall. Selsey Junior Badminton is 6 p.m. on a Thursday, and that again is the Academy Sports Hall, and that's on a Wednesday. Right, something for even much smaller young people in Selsey. Baby Rhyme Time. They want everyone to know Baby Rhyme Time has changed their time, and it's now on a Monday. It's 10:30 a.m. and that's held in the library. And also for our youngsters and mums and dads and grandparents, the Sunbeams Baby and Toddler Group, they meet at East Beach Church on a Friday morning. They're having a special Children in Need morning from 10 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. on Friday the 15th of November. There will be homemade cakes to buy, Pudsey games to play, colouring, craft and Pudsey stickers. All proceeds, including the usual 50p admission, will go to Children in Need. For more information on that, you can telephone Rosemary on Selsey 605 236. Now, without further ado, let's get on with our first interview in our programme, and that's Chris Reed, and he's talking about the Royal Naval Association.
It's Hugh Graham from Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm talking this evening with Christopher Reed, who is a member of the Selsey branch of the Royal Naval Association. Chris, where does the Royal Naval Association meet?
Down at the Seal, second Tuesday of every month.
In the bar?
Yeah, in the restaurant part of the bar.
Okay. Well, I've often held the view that it's an opportunity for old sailors to get together and drink a lot. Would that summarise it neatly?
Pretty close. It's certainly to get together, not necessarily drink a lot, because most of us have to drive there.
Okay.
So, but a couple of wets.
Right.
Get together and swing the lamp.
Swing the lamp? What's swinging the lamp?
Well, if you go, it's an old saying, naval saying, if you go back years to Nelson's time, lamps weren't fixed, bolted down as they are on modern ships today, so they're sort of hanging from the deckhead, which is the ceiling in civilian terminology.
And I suppose as the ship moved, the lamp swung.
That's right, and the sailors would be gathered around the mess table with their tot of rum, telling rather exaggerated old sea stories. Hence the expression, he's swinging the lamp.
How big was the tot of rum? Because you were old enough to have had a tot, haven't you?
Yes, I drew my tot for about a year and a half before the great Admiral decided to stop it. It was about a third of a pint, but that was 1/3 rum, 2 parts water.
And it was still pretty strong.
Yes, you would not pass the breathalyzer after having your tot of rum.
Really?
No.
And if I remember rightly, there were huge stories because my uncle was a submariner.
Ah, yes.
That people used to hoard their tots, or you could buy it, and sometimes you could have 3 tots.
Oh, well, it was definitely a currency of the lower deck.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted a favour done, it would say, yeah, okay, I'll see you at tot time.
Okay, which meant that you gave it...
Which meant it was either sippers, gulpers, queens, or if it was a big favour, the whole tot.
So, what sippers then?
Well, it's just you have a sip.
And?
Gulpers, you have a big mouthful.
and queens?
Queens, that's when your rum issue was given in a fanny, which was a huge...
What's a fanny?
It's a huge pot, aluminium type pot with a big handle, and you go down to the rum store, and the rum bosun and the ship's policeman would be there to ensure that the grog, as it's called, mixture of rum and water, was put into your fanny, and you then took it back to the mess, and it was dished out to all the lads that were entitled to draw their tot. You had to be 20 to be entitled to draw your tot.
That was just around the waist.
Whatever was left in the fanny after everybody had had their tot was put into a glass and passed round. That was Queen's.
Oh, I see.
Highly illegal, of course, but then it was stopped in 1971. It doesn't really matter.
So how does who was it who went down to collect it?
The rum bosun.
Who was probably the most popular man on the ship.
No, he would have just been one of the lads. Oh no, because all the different messes, you've got loads of different messes on the ship depending on the size of the ship, obviously. Yeah. But there would be a rum bosun from each mess who would grab his fanny and off he'd go down to the rum store to draw his rum.
How did it get to be called a fanny?
Pass. An extremely good question.
You don't know?
No, it might be in the Jack Speak dictionary.
Okay.
But then it would probably only give you the description of what the word means. It wouldn't give you its origin.
So what is Jack Speak?
Well, Jack Speak is the language of the Navy.
Okay.
The language of the lower deck.
Give us an example.
Well, up homers. You've gone into a foreign port and somebody has come, a native of the country that's there has come to the gangway and said, I'd like to take a couple of sailors home for dinner.
Right.
You've got up homers.
Oh, I
and
see.
if they give you a little present, then you've got a gizzit. Or a grippo.
What's a grippo?
A grippo, that's the person that's taken you up home.
So how did you acquire these people?
Well,
Or just because you were good looking, or
that's right, yes. Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, for instance, going back some years, let's see, 1967.
yeah,
My ship was the last ship to come through the Suez Canal before it closed for 30 years.
What was your ship?
The Hermes,
Okay.
an aircraft carrier. And the Israeli-Egyptian war broke out. The canal was closed for the next 13 years. So when we went home, we had to go via Cape Town.
yeah.
And we were the first British warship to stop at Cape Town for many years. And of course then it was apartheid. Cape Town was very pro-British. British warship came in. Loads of people wanted to take English sailors out for the day. Picnics, banyans and all that sort of thing.
And you were, of course,
Well,
really
absolutely.
You were shy and retiring.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Backward in coming forward.
All right, so how did you get in the Navy in the first place?
Well,
Or wouldn't anybody else have you?
Oh, well, it was. It's to cut a very long story short. I was a Bernardo's boy,
Right,
and in those days you didn't become of age till you were 21,
right,
but you left school at 15.
okay,
Bernardo certainly didn't want you hanging about for the next 6 years.
right.
So as soon as you left school, you were gently pushed in the direction of the local recruiting office.
I see. Yeah.
So it's quite a funny story, really, when you think back. At the age of 15, and just after my 15th birthday, I was sent down to the recruiting office at Southampton, and there's this grizzly old chief petty officer standing there. He says, "What do you want to be then, lad?" I said, "Well, I want to be a sailor, don't I?" I'm 15. I didn't know there was all different branches and trades in the Navy. So he looked at my exam results. He said, "We're short of electricians. How do you fancy being one?" Yeah, all right then. So 5 months later, I walked through the gates at St Vincent, signed on for 12 years as a JEM2. That's
What's
a
a
junior electrical mechanic, second class.
All right.
And apart from a midshipman, they don't come much lower.
So, what dizzy heights did you reach in the Navy?
Oh, I left 35 years later
Yeah.
as a chief petty officer, air engineering artificer.
What does that mean in English?
That means I was an artificer,
Yeah.
an air engineer.
And what were you engineering in the air?
Well, you didn't do it in the air, you did it on the ground.
Okay.
The pilot's job was to take. He was just the driver.
So I see. So
we
you
maintained and repaired
aircraft.
aircraft. Yes.
What sort of aircraft?
Well, mostly I was on helicopters. Wessex Mark 1s, Mark 3s, Mark 5s, Whirlwind Mark 7, and then nearly 20 years on the Lynx.
So you were the guy who kept the fan going round.
Yep.
Right, so I suppose pilots.
Well,
would be...
that would have been the engineer. I was on the electrical side, so
Okay.
it was the generating systems, automatic pilot systems, instruments, gyros, and all that sort of stuff, and the weapons systems, of course.
Okay. So you were quite an important person, weren't you?
Well, you could say that. I couldn't possibly comment.
So how long ago did you come out of the Navy?
It was midnight on January the 15th, 1999,
Right.
which is nearly 15 years ago. 15 years ago this January.
And how long did it take you to find the Royal Naval Association?
Oh, within days. I already knew of it.
Yeah.
And we'd only moved to Selsey, I suppose, about 18 months before I retired from the Navy.
Yeah.
So once I retired, we went down there.
So how many sailors have you got in the Selsey branch of the Royal Naval Association?
Retired sailors, I suppose.
We haven't got any real sailors, have you?
Well, no, you can be a member if you're still serving.
Oh, really?
You can still be a member. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't think of any that are still currently serving. Somebody will probably phone up and say you're wrong. I know of 2 or 3, but I think we've got about 80 members, of which I think 2/3 are ex-serving members, and the rest are what they call associate members, which could be family members of your family.
Have you got any rents?
Oh yeah, ex-rents, yeah.
Right. Okay. And
Yeah, because it's open to all ex-naval personnel.
and they swing the lamp as well.
Oh, they can probably swing the lamp just as good as Jolly Jack,
Okay.
if not better.
Now then, as I understand it, you not only were a sailor, you also went sailing in sailboats.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, part of your training at St Vincent, again as a 15-year-old, you do. I mean, apart from the fact that you go back to school and you're doing maths, English, geography, and history in the classroom, you're also doing parade training, drill, rifle drill, how to look after your uniform, and you're taught navigation and seamanship.
Okay.
And how to sail a boat.
Right.
And we used to go from St Vincent down to Clarence Yard in Gosport,
Yeah.
where St Vincent's boats were kept, whalers, cutters and dinghies. And that's where I started sailing.
I think I was talking to Pat the other day. Pat's your wife, isn't he?
Yeah, yes.
She-
Has been for some years now.
She said that you had actually sailed several times across the Atlantic.
I have, yes.
But in small yachts.
Well, depends what you call small yacht. It was a Nicholson 55
Yeah.
and an Oyster 62.
So does that mean you are qualified as an ocean skipper?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I got my RYA Yachtmaster Ocean certificate.
Okay. So you're a real sailor.
Yes, you could say that, yes.
All right.
Although I haven't done a lot of sailing in the last 3 or 4 years.
Do you tell many stories about your Atlantic crossings when you're swinging the lamp?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, as I understand it, you not only are a leading light in the Royal Naval Association in Selsey, but you are also carrying the standard.
Yes, I am the branch standard bearer.
What does that mean?
Well, it means I carry the standard. The public don't see you very much, but on Remembrance parades, you'll see me marching in front of the Royal Naval Association carrying the Royal Naval Standard. Standard.
I've also seen you at the lifeboat service.
Yes, we always support the lifeboat.
And does that mean you turn out at funerals as well?
Yes, all funerals for all our members.
Okay.
And occasionally, I mean, I can't remember the gentleman's name now, but he was one of the Arctic convoy veterans.
Yeah.
Who was instrumental in getting the medal for the Arctic convoy gentleman. And his funeral was in Portsmouth a few months ago, and standard bearers from all over the area attended. And there was about a dozen of us.
Okay. So, getting back to the Selsey branch of the RNA, how frequently do you meet?
Once a month, second Tuesday of every month at the Seal. The meeting starts at 8 o'clock, so you really need to be there before 8.
That's in the evening, of course.
Yes, in the evening, yes.
Okay. And if anybody wants to turn up, they can?
Yeah, ex-servicemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that include the Fleet Air Arm?
It should do, because I was a member of the Fleet Air Arm.
Okay. But only naval personnel?
I do believe we do have. I'm sure we've got a squad. You have Royal Marines, of course, because the Royal Marines are part of the Royal Navy.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
And I'm sure if any other service personnel that are living in Selsey, if they applied, would not be turned away.
So you just have to turn up on which Tuesday?
It's the second Tuesday of every month.
At 8 o'clock. Before
8 o'clock, because the meeting actually starts at 8.
Right. And what do you discuss in the meeting?
Well, all sorts of things. Anything of interest. Reunions for old ships.
Right.
And old shipmates. And also we have our own social calendar. there'll be, like for instance, a trip to the National Memorial Arboretum.
Okay.
That goes on. We've had trips to the National War Museum. We've had trips to the Houses of Parliament. We go over to the headquarters in Portsmouth Dockyard on a visit to the RNA headquarters.
And do you look after old sailors?
Yeah, we look after our own.
Right, Christopher. And do you occasionally have visitors?
What, from other branches of the RNA?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Our visitors from other members of the RNA from other areas or other branches are always welcome.
Okay, so if anybody's interested, all they do is just turn up.
Turn up, yeah. Or look on the website.
Okay.
It's got its own Royal Naval Association website. You just Google it, up it'll come. It'll tell you all about us. And it will also tell you where your nearest branch is.
Okay, Christopher. Thanks very much. Sounds rather fun to me.
Oh, it is. We have a good laugh when we go down to our meetings.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
13 and a half minutes.
How many?
13 and a half.
Oh, well, there you go.
See? I told you we'd have no problem getting to it.
But we got away from the RNA and then went back to it, which, yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, I'm doing a talk in the next 2 weeks on the 5 Ark Royals.
Yeah.
This being the first one, which was an Elizabethan galleon.
Yeah.
And I could always do that on the radio for you if you like.
Okay, fine. Brilliant.
It's not. I could probably stretch it to 10 minutes. Because the first Ark Royal was built in Deptford for Walter Raleigh. And he was 32 at the time. The ship was to be called Ark, which became Ark Raleigh, as the convention of the day was to name the vessel after its owner.
Now we have a poem by Liz Dunlop, and after Liz, there's music by local group The Essentials.
My brain is starting to frazzle. My thoughts are starting a fire. I cannot contain the feeling of pain when I think of my heart's desire. The desire I am yearning is poison. It will take me away in the end. The whiff of a bar from miles afar will have me in torment, my friend. My fingers are starting to pill roll. My breathing is shallow and fast. The words that have spun on my lingering tongue are ready to scream and to blast. My head is controlling my heart, and my heart is controlling my head. In complete delusion and utter confusion, I find I am leaving my bed. It is 3 a.m. in the morning, and Tesco's is 10 miles away. Should I give in and caress my one sin, or should I remember the way? To many, my want is so simple. What's wrong with a chocolate or two? Well, think of your toes and your ill-fitting clothes if you suffer diabetes type 2.
See me for what you should see.
Now it's over to Giles, who will be talking to us some more about the autumn garden and things we need to be doing this time of the year. And then we'll be talking to Lynn, who will be giving us another yummy recipe on her countdown to Christmas.
We got Giles Peer back in the studio again, our resident gardening genius. Okay, Giles, what you got for us this week?
We're getting on into the month a bit more now, and leaf fall is increasing. And the interesting thing again, especially out in the countryside, in the woods and round about, the leaf fall this time it provides what I would call a serenity in the atmosphere that is absolutely unique to this time of year.
Okay.
If one is out and about in the countrysides. Wood pigeons are now feasting on the abundant beech nuts and getting on very well with them and filling themselves up and ready. Starlings and mistle thrushes.
Do squirrels like beech nuts?
They do, yeah, they do. Squirrels do as well,
Okay,
yeah.
right, right.
And also starlings and mistle thrushes. You know, the mountain ash has been ablaze with coral berries. Well, they're all nearly gone now, thanks to the mistle thrush and the starlings. That they've stripped them. The mountain ash has lost its colour. Because they are beautiful, as you remember. They're lovely to look at before they lose the berries. Yeah. Regarding the greenhouse, I would suggest at this time of year, when we get the odd what I call mild day with a little bit of sun, still open the vents for a while.
Yeah.
Because it'll keep the humidity down.
Right.
Because of this, in November especially, humidity can cause a problem, and it introduces a lot of grey mould.
Oh, okay.
Mildew, in other words.
Yep.
And by opening the vents, that will help to alleviate that problem.
Right, thank you.
So that's one thing I would like to mention out. Another thing is, if anyone's got any unsightly tree stumps in the garden, which may or may not, the good idea is just drill them out in the middle, and plant them up. And I've seen it done. I've done it myself, in fact. Just drill them out, hollow them out, and plant them up with bulbs, wallflowers, primulas, ivies, pansies, whatever. And
What a good idea!
It really it does look quite good.
It does take a long time for a tree stump to rot.
It does, and quite often that's right. Especially if they're a bigger tree, big enough, even a smaller. You can do this on a mini scale, even. Yeah.
I've got a stump in my garden. We came to live in the house in 1970.
Oh right, yes.
And that stump is still there.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
And we turned it into all sorts of things. It's been a table. It's been
I bet.
a flower stand.
You can try but you can plant it up. I mean, if you don't want to do that, if you want to do other things with it after you finish the flowering, you can always put a little bit of plywood or something, on the top, so you can use it for other issues if you still need to.
Yeah.
Once you've hollowed it out. And also, I would like to mention that, going on the same note of it, another little idea is, if one's got patio slabs, which a lot of people do, lift up a couple of them and put a bit of fine grit down, and then they can be planted up. Put the slabs on one side, however many you want, just a few. And they can be planted up with spring bulbs, like narcissi, put it this way, white narcissi go well with pink slabs, and blue hyacinths go well with grey slabs.
Okay.
And then, once these have flowered in the spring, then you can put your slabs back on again.
Okay. Will the bulbs come up again the following year?
Oh yeah, well then they might not, because they're going to be covered up, aren't they? For the
the
bulbs might come up, but obviously nothing else. When you take everything else out anyway.
Okay.
But that's just a little idea.
Lovely idea.
If one wants to brighten up the patio a little during this time of year.
Yeah.
And right, my little, I suppose the tip or thought, if you like, for the week is, when you're buying turnips in the shop, look for the ones that are the deepest purple.
Right.
And they're the best tasting ones.
Oh, really?
The deeper the purple, the better the turnip.
Okay, John. Well, thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, we're back in Tapney Rice again, and I'm talking to Lynn Reeve. And Lynn, can we just discuss cooking a Christmas ham?
Yes, Hugh, we can discuss cooking a Christmas ham because you've just given me a wonderful recipe from your mother.
Actually, no, it's from my granny.
From your granny,
Yeah.
that is just over 100 years old. So we're going to talk a little bit about cooking hams today. Christmas is coming and nothing beats a nice horseshoe gammon on the table, does it, Hugh?
Absolutely not.
Now, I have to confess that every time I've cooked a ham, I've always finished it off in the oven.
Yeah.
Your grandmother's recipe, which we're going to go with today, absolutely, well, because it was tried down at the church the other week, and I believe they loved it, didn't they, Hugh?
They did, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to go with your grandmother's recipe today, and that says never ever finish the ham in the oven and never ever glaze it with honey.
Yep.
All right? So we're going to start with our ingredients then. 1 horseshoe ham, 10 to 12 pounds we're looking for here, or a smaller gammon joint.
Yep.
Right?
And the quantities you obviously vary according to the size of the joint. I get my ham from Seals Butchers in the High Street.
Oh, brilliant. So it's right on the doorstep as well there.
Yeah, and I don't know I'm not sure where he gets the gammon from, but it's absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
Tastes
that's wonderful.
wonderful.
Wonderful. So it's right on the doorstep. No excuses not to try this one. All right. A 10-pound horseshoe gammon is normally quite ideal, depending on the size of the saucepan you use, I suppose.
Yep.
Yeah. The ham will come covered in an elastic net, which you don't need, so we're going to take that off.
Well, I find that if you don't take the elastic net off, then it spreads. And I get Mark, who's the butcher in Seals Butcher, to string it for me and hold it really tight together.
Lovely.
Okay.
That's it, yeah. So get the butcher to do that for you then. Get him to string up your ham and get him to remove that netting that's on there. And have him tie it up with tied from butcher's knots. I mean,
That's right.
They know how to do it, don't they?
Yes.
I haven't got a clue how to do butcher's knots, but they certainly do. This is very important. Otherwise, the horseshoe gammon will open up during the cooking, and that makes the carving quite difficult because the meat just comes off in little pieces.
Absolutely.
Not something you want.
Yep.
2 litres of cheap, dry cider or water.
Yep.
Now, you don't have to use cider, but we recommend it.
Yep.
1 kilo of brown sugar for a whole horseshoe, £1.
Everybody smiles at this. They think it's too much. It's not.
No.
It's exactly right for a big ham.
Okay, so we'll repeat that then. 1 kilo of brown sugar, or £1 for a smaller gammon joint if you're just going to do a smaller version of this.
Yep.
2 nice bay leaves. I've got loads in my garden, and we've got some in the shop as well if anybody wants any. 2 to 3 cloves, 2 for a small joint or 3 for a whole horseshoe.
That's it.
All right. So we're going to soak our ham first of all for 24 hours in cold water. This helps some of the salt come out of it as well.
Yep.
And then discard that water. You don't want to use that. Cover your ham with some clean cold water and bring it up to the boil.
That's just to skim the fat off.
Okay, that's
Then you
just
dump that immediately, and while it's still warm, you put the cider in.
Okay, bring to the boil. Dump your water and fill your saucepan with cider.
Yeah.
Is that right, Hugh?
Yeah. If it doesn't cover the joint, just add enough water to do so.
Okay. Enough cold water to cover the ham or just plain water. Add the sugar cloves and the bay leaf.
That's it.
All right. Bring to the boil and immediately turn it down to simmer. You're simmering for 15 to 20 minutes to the pound.
15 minutes for a big joint.
20 minutes for a larger joint.
That's right.
To the pound. Use the longer time for a small joint.
That's it.
Time at 15 minutes to the pound for a large horseshoe gammon. Check the simmering at regular intervals to make sure.
This is important because the heat builds up, and occasionally you find it boiling, and you don't want it to do that.
No, you just want it to go on a nice little simmer.
Yeah.
It's going to go on a simmer for some time, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. So check the simmering at regular intervals to make sure the ham doesn't return to the boil. Top it up with liquid from time to time to make sure the joint stays covered.
Yep.
And cover the saucepan, if you've got one, with a see-through lid.
That's it.
All right?
Yep.
When the cooking time is up, turn off the heat immediately and allow the ham to cool in the liquid until room temperature is reached. How
Yeah.
long does that normally take you, Hugh?
Sometimes it's as long as 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah, quite a long time sometimes for ham to cool down.
Which doesn't matter because sitting solidly in the liquid, it doesn't lose any weight, and it absorbs all the lovely taste from the bay leaves
Lovely.
of the cloves.
Yeah, lovely. All
brilliant.
those cloves going into it. Place it in a dish on a dish or in a dish in the fridge for up to 24 hours then.
I find if you do that, it stops it firms the meat up, and then when you take the string off, the gammon stays almost welded together, and then I can remove the rind and I'll cover it with breadcrumb.
I'll tell you what, my mouth's watering. And my mouth is watering. When cooled in the fridge, remove the rind, trim most of the fat off because we don't need that, and cover it with the breadcrumbs as Hugh's just said, and then carve it up. Now, Hugh tells me that from time to time he's forgotten that a ham was cooking. How you can forget that smell, I don't know. But
Well, I'm a writer, don't forget. So,
he gets involved.
If I get involved, I forget it.
Yeah.
And I can remember once I overcooked the ham by an hour and a quarter.
Gosh.
And I came out of the kitchen and thought, oh dear, I've ruined it. And then an idea came to my head.
Okay.
I poured all the liquid away. I put a bag of 2 kilos of ice in there. I filled it up with really cold water, and I waited with bated breath to see what would happen. It took over a day for it to come back to room temperature, but the ham was fine.
It's good.
So it's quite an elastic time.
Quickly worked.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when I started in the kitchens, the chef there in the hotel in Bristol, he taught me to do that with Brussels sprouts and things. I should bring them off the ovens, stick them into ice cold water.
Really?
It stops them cooking anymore, so you get that nice al dente,
Oh, that's lovely.
carroty thing. Yeah. So remember that then, and this sounds absolutely delicious. I'd love to know how you go on with all these recipes. So if anybody does try them, please ring Hugh and tell him.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Giles and Lynn. Now we're going to end with a thought from the day by the rector of St. Peter's, and I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and hope you tune in next time. Goodbye.
This is James Weston, rector of St. Peter's, with another thought for the day.
Thank you very much. Many of us begin to feel a little low as summer turns into autumn and as the evenings become shorter and the mornings darker. It feels as if the earth is shutting down, and the exuberance that so many of us feel when it is sunny and warm is hard to envisage. But the seasons are, of course, all part of God's wonderful creation. Each one has a reason for being, and each has unique characteristics and attractions. And in every season, we can see God working his purpose out. The former poet laureate, Sir John Betjeman, recognised this, and perhaps it might do us good to revisit his poem Autumn, 1964. Red apples hang like globes of light against this pale November haze, and now, although the mist is white, in half an hour a day of days will climb into its golden height, and Sunday bells will ring its praise. The sparkling flint, the darkling yew, the red brick, less intensely red than hawthorn berries bright with dew, or leaves of creeper still unshed, the watery sky washed clean and new, are all rejoicing with the dead. The yellowing elm shows yet some green, the mellowing bells exultant sound. Never have light and colour been so prodigally thrown around, and in the bells the promise tells of greater light where love is found. So as we encounter nature's changes and the seasons' contrasts, we should see the whole picture and marvel in God's amazing gift of creation as we try to work out what God's purpose is for each of us. Thank you.
Now, to commemorate Remembrance Day, we have an anonymous poem.
A poem for Remembrance Day. The inquisitive mind of a child. Why are they selling poppies, Mummy? Selling poppies in town today? The poppies, child, are flowers of love for the men who marched away. But why have they chosen a poppy, Mummy? Why not a beautiful rose? Because, my child, men fought and died in the fields where the poppies grow. But why are the poppies so red, Mummy? Why are the poppies so red? Red is the colour of blood, my child, the blood that our soldiers shed. The heart of the poppy is black, Mummy. Why does it have to be black? Black, my child, is the symbol of grief for the men who never came back. But why, Mummy, are you crying so? Your tears are giving you pain. My tears are my fears for you, my child, for the world is forgetting again.